Right. Okay. So we've knocked out the crankshaft. It is. But first, what I would advise is that you check out all these interior faces for shim washers. These are very specific. The washers that have got a specific thickness in order to fill in any spaces, any gaps between in the gearbox, and they need to be on the correct shaft. Can't get this wrong. So you must actually make sure that you check all the surfaces for any shims. For example, on the gear shift shaft, so there is a shim. There it is. Okay, and that would be here. Okay, so as you're knocking it out, check to see if where the shims are, and there is one there. All right, on this shaft. Yeah, and you need to tap this out, and then put it aside and examine it later. There's nothing more to be done with that case for the moment. So we're just putting it to one side. And we're on the gearbox. All right, now we've had a play with this, and you'll need to have a play with it to get used to it. I'll focus it in. Again, the shims are absolutely critical. So where there are shims, make sure, like for example, I'll point this down now, and I'll zoom in, and we'll start talking about the gearbox. Okay. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good there, yeah. Right, okay. Yeah, there's a shim on top of here, which I've left down there on my sheet of paper there. There's a shim here. Yeah, and the shim's at the bottom. Just be careful that you keep the shims in the right place. There's also a ball bearing here at the bottom of, just down here underneath. Can't see it so well, but it's there anyway. So there's a ball bearing on a spring, and take note of that. All right. How to work with the gearbox? I would suggest that you're looking at it like this, like the camera is looking at it. All right, with this facing your chest, and that seems to be the easiest way. So for me, I would be doing it like this. Okay, and then I've got these cogs that I can manage easy. It seems the ideal way. Things to note. This is the output shaft, and it has got two shift forks, and these are top and bottom of these three cams. 1, 2, and another one there. 3. So these the shift forks, which are these 1, 2, top and bottom. These are top and bottom of the cams. Okay. The driving shaft that drives the output shaft, it has one shift fork, and that goes in the middle. All right. So very worthwhile actually knowing that when you're putting it back together. Okay, the gearbox comes apart with the circlips in place. So there's a circlip here and a circlip here. They don't need to come off. You can get it apart. So that's quite handy. What I've found is the easiest way of taking it apart is to remove this shaft here. Okay, so that's how you're looking at it, and this is the shaft here that holds these shift forks. Okay, now check, and you can take that one out and you can see where it goes. If you look, you'll be able to see where it goes. All right, so that and the top one, there's the top one, can come out. The bottom one is still there, and this makes it easier to manipulate. I'm turning it back because this is how I see it. Now the idea is that they all need to be lifted slightly in order for them to come out. So it's a little bit of a messing around, but it seems impossible to start with, and then all of a sudden you can do it really easy, which is why you've got to play with it. Okay, so up, so that's that out. There's the ball bearing has just dropped. Okay, and there goes the bottom fork. Check your shims. There's a shim down there. I'll show you. There's a shim there, but that's safe underneath the circlip. Okay, so that can go there. That's safe there. And there's the fork from the driving shaft. Okay, there. And there's the ball bearing. And that goes on the spring here. There. There's a spring there. That's up and down. All right. Okay. There's the shim in place. Okay. Right. Okay. So got it apart. Putting it together. Putting it together when we started doing this was an absolute nightmare. It didn't seem to want to go together. You couldn't get everything together all at the same time. However, this is how it goes. You take the driving shaft in your left hand, and you take the output shaft in your right hand. Okay, and they both need to go in together. Okay. With the fork. There's the fork on the fork shaft. All right. So okay, so they've gone in. We can see how. I haven't got my bottom one in. I may be able to get it in. Yeah. Well, okay, so here the two shafts are in place. This fork is in place over its shaft here, and this fork, the bottom one, is not over any shaft, but it is in place. Okay, losing the. Keep your eye on the ball bearing. Ball bearing goes there. Okay, so now need to put the shift cam in. Okay, so this one goes in the middle. So choose the lowest point. That's the sensible thing. So lift it up. Okay, it comes up. With the other hand, try and just get the whole thing to lift up. And then slide it in sideways. You see where it's at the lowest point here. There, that lowest point here. Okay, you slide that into the pin and let it drop. Okay. That's in. Okay. Now take a screwdriver and just lift the bottom fork, shift fork, into place. Okay, I'll show you how. It's there. So it's down. All right. Just get your screwdriver underneath and try and raise it into place. And it just pops in there. Okay, there's the shaft is going to go down here. It's now just in place. Now take our top shaft and that lift the gear. You can see as you lift the gear, and that drops into place. Take the shaft, and it all drops out, of course. Come on. Okay, that should be in. Take the top shaft. In. Top fork, should I say? Top fork. And that's in. And there we are. The gearbox is reassembled. Fiddly, but it took us a long time to even get to that point of understanding how it goes. But primarily understanding that this shaft can come out and your top fork can come out, and this then allows you to lift up quite easily this and pull it out. And the fact that this goes in last. This shaft here, and prior to that the top fork, and the top fork goes obviously into the top cam. And there we are. And what I would recommend is that you do that. Yeah, I'd recommend that you do that. Spend a few hours. A couple of hours, taking it out, putting it back, taking it out, putting it back, getting to know it. But the critical thing is to make sure that all your shims are kept in place. Okay, so to test it, you've got to press that down on the spring. Okay, and we can see that that's working. I haven't found neutral yet, but I mean it must be there. Somewhere. So we take it to this. There's a pin here, and we take the shift cam as far anti-clockwise as we can go, and that's going to be first gear. Okay, so anti-clockwise, as far as you can go, is first gear. All right. Now we go back one step. bump there. As we can see, it spins. There we are. That's neutral. Alright? Yeah, that's sorted that.